Welcome to Fortify Your Future, a podcast for professionals who currently have executive oversight or aspirations of leading the safety and security function for their organization. I'm your host, Ken Carrasco. Joining me today is Anthony Hall. Anthony is a U.S. Navy veteran and executive leader with over 20 years of experience specializing in security, operational strategy, and risk management. Anthony, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks, Ken. I appreciate the time you took to get me on here. It really means a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great. I know we've only known each other for a few months, but it's been great in terms of collaborating with you, and I'm looking forward to the next few minutes talking with you about your background and experience. On these sessions, I really like to lead with value. That's really important to me. What can you give as guidance or advice to someone listening in that they can take away that's actionable for them?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really developing your brand, Ken. I mean, your personal brand, your professional brand, in this new social media world, they really just kind of intertwine. So what you're saying on LinkedIn, what's your professional background, and how you're really selling that as a social media kind of resume, I think is very important.
Yeah, so much. I mean, today it's really changed, right, over the years, and putting yourself out there is really key. So, and again, I look at myself as an introvert, and it's been a challenge even for myself to push myself, forward and being out there. So, can certainly appreciate that. Hopefully, individuals will embrace that and in terms of what they're doing today and making some changes in terms of how they address what's happening in the marketplace. So, talk a little bit about your story. You're coming from um, the public sector. You're making a transition, and you're going through things that I think a lot of people will resonate with and can connect to. What can you tell us about your transition and what you did in order to be successful with the things that you've done up to this point?
Yeah, definitely, Ken. So, I mean, when I started my real transition in from the public sector to the private sector about 8 months ago, we'll say 8, 9 months ago. And being in the military for 25 years, having an undergrad in emergency management, having an MBA, and then 25 years of intelligence and security experience. I mean, I just thought I would be every person who has had a job would want to hire me, right? And that kind of wasn't the case. So I started off just putting resumes out there. People were saying, "Hey, you got to grow your LinkedIn profile," and I didn't know what that meant, right? What is LinkedIn? How do you grow your LinkedIn profile? Um, so I started off just like clicking every person you could possibly connect with, and I got to a point where LinkedIn was like, "You cannot connect with any more people this week." I didn't even know that was a thing, uh, but it didn't help, right? It wasn't increasing my interactions. It wasn't increasing the amount of resumes I was getting out. It wasn't increasing the amount of job leads I was seeing. So I really had to step back and go, hey, what am I doing here? And really retune kind of what I was doing.
Yeah, no, again, I can appreciate that. Oftentimes, it's a bit frustrating too because you're sort of looking at, what's out there and what's the guidance that you can see, and sometimes, you see things working a little bit better for others, and you're not really sure why you're not getting the same results. Is there one thing in particular that you keyed in on that you found was useful?
Yeah. So I'll start kind of, there's twofold. I mean, I think leveraging AI and AI technology, we in the security world, we talk about how we integrate AI into our security functions to streamline our processes and improve our workflows or allow our guards to be better orientated on what's going on in that environment. But we as security professionals or leadership aren't using AI to increase our workflow, right? To put our processes into a smoother transition. So that's what I really went to. I kind of got in there and I said, hey, ChatGPT, help me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but help me develop a better process flow for this. And I was able to really then go and say, hey, find the companies you want to work for. Find the people who within those companies, the hiring managers, the HR managers, the actual security professionals in those, and directly reach out to those people through LinkedIn messages or through kind of emails, and really start with that A/B testing. And just like we do in any other thing, if we're not keeping track of that, so develop an Excel spreadsheet that said, "Hey, contact this person with message B on this date. Did I get a response? Did I not get a response?" And then I was able to tailor those A/B messages and then kind of go off into a different direction. But I had some kind of, it wasn't just blanket widespread thing. It was actually a pointed direction I could go in to kind of get me to where I needed to be.
It sounds like you were very deliberate and intentional in your approach. Now, for someone who's not familiar with A/B testing, can you explain a little bit more about what that means?
Yeah, definitely. So that's really then that scientific method of, hey, conduct test, send a develop an email that is phrased in this way, is really has these kind of characters, and then develop the exact opposite, or a different email that is phrased in a different way, has different characteristics, and send this email to 10 people and send this email to 10 people and see which one you get a better response on. And then that's the email you should be really developing on. If I get 100% response rate on email A and a 4% response rate on email B, then I know that email A is better, is received better by the audience. So I really want to focus on email A. And then that's how I keep developing my process for my reaching out or my interactions.
That makes sense. It's having a model, right? It's having a process in place, and measuring the results, right, at the end of the day. So it sounds like in terms of even your approach to developing, right, your network or going through this transition, you leveraged a model in order to do that. What other types of models do you leverage in terms of just generally in terms of how you apply what you do professionally? So in your work environments, are there any other models that you leverage consistently, you're disciplined with, and you're able to apply those in ways that perform the same way? It may not be an A/B testing, but it's about measuring results. It's about looking at what you're doing, how well things are working, and adjusting and adapting. But are there any other particular models that you focus in on that help you in terms of your career?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's always looking to see, um, we'll just say it, call it maybe learning focus, education focus model of, hey, where am I at now? Where do we see ourselves in 5, 10 years? And then what is the educational path that I need to take to make sure I'm not behind the power curve in that 5 or 10 year mark, so that I'm not trying to learn everything in year 10. I've slowly learned that information over the 5, 10 year mark. And I think that's really important, is setting your goals, not only short-term goals, but long-term goals of, hey, I want to be in this market, or I want to be in this industry. And I have this mindset of getting there, but how do I get there? I think it's also, again, I'll take it back to, it's again leveraging AI, because we only have 24 hours in the day. And if we really want to spend 20 of those hours developing something that we could use AI to develop in an hour, then we're buying back 19 hours to kind of do other things and become a better person.
Yeah, it's incredible what AI is doing in terms of all areas of business. And again, it's every day it seems, and I don't know about you, but I feel like there's so much, and excuse me, I'm trying to keep up with it, and it sometimes feels a little bit overwhelming. Is there anything in terms of preparation that are must do's that you've got to focus in on, and you have to follow a certain pattern or a certain way? Or how would you characterize that, for individuals that are sort of unsure exactly what steps to take as they navigate forward? Are there very specific things that you need to do before you do others?
I don't know if there's specific things you need to do before you do others, Ken, because just kind of like what you said is, if I learn a new way to do something, I'm gonna have somebody show me the 5 other ways to do that. So there's always so many ways to do something. But what I have learned over the last like 8 months is you can't get down on yourself, right? If things don't work out, you send a resume or you do something on somewhere and it doesn't work out, really just you got to take that as a learning step, and you know what to do better next time. So you got to stay consistent. I would say that that is really what it is. You got to have those smart goals where you can measure them, and you can see what the end is, and then you got to stay consistent to that goal. You can't. I think it's kind of like a baseball analogy, right? You're not going to hit. You're not going to go 5 for 5 every day. But if you go 2 for 5 one day and 1 for 5 and then 3 for 5, you're staying consistent. You can't get down on yourself.
Yeah, agreed. I know, some folks, they're just getting so frustrated these days, and they're looking for answers. And what I try to articulate to people is, everybody's experiencing this, right? You're applying to, multiple places. You're not even hearing things back, right? The getting ghosted is sort of common practice,
Yeah.
today, and it's incredible, right? And so it's very discouraging. So I get it. I hear you, and I think it's important for people that are hearing this as well, is that no matter how frustrated you get, you're one application away, you're one email away, you're one degree away from learning about that new opportunity. And so it is one of those things that you've got to be disciplined, and be consistent with what you're doing, and recognize that it's not just you, right? It's everybody's experiencing the same challenges. There's no question, no matter how experienced or skilled you are, and the background that you have coming, in and out. So, anything else that would be helpful for individuals to know about your journey, and how that might, help them in terms of, it's again, we experience a lot of challenges as we navigate forward, and sometimes it's helpful to understand some of the challenges that you experienced, that you overcame. And but anything else that would be important for someone to look at doing in terms of helping them along the way? I mean, as an example, you talked first about, you sort of, as you're going out into LinkedIn, you're sort of going into this abyss. You're not sure whether or not you're going to get anything, or work anything out, or it's going to, land a result. But that's exactly how you and I connected, right? We
Right.
connected on
Right.
LinkedIn. So there's that needle in a haystack type of thing, right? And it's still worth the time and effort as we try to navigate our next chapter. But is there anything else outside of that, that helped you along the way? I mean, you recently secured a new role, and congratulations on
Yeah.
that.
Thanks. I
is
appreciate it.
is is there something along the lines of getting, once you get to the point where you become a candidate in the interview process, are there things that helped you in particular as making yourself that lead candidate, or that person that they had to hire?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, Ken. Let me kind of we'll go back to that consistency point, and then I'll get to answer that question. Um, so now, so you brought up, yeah, I did just land a role, and I start at the end of this month. So that's a great, great win for Team Anthony, right? But I applied for that job in February,
Oh,
right? So that, and we're
yeah,
in July now.
yeah,
So that it's that consistency and that staying on task, right? I think I probably had 3 or 4 interviews with different companies in between that time, and all the interviews I thought I did really well. They were all virtual interviews, So really no negative feedback, but didn't get any response back from those. And then just staying the task until I finally got the email and the interview set up for my current job. Um, Not getting down on myself, right? Because there's nothing you can do. It's not you, it's just the environment we live in. And you got to understand that is, I mean, I think I was at 117 applications and
Oh,
117 applications, probably 8 interviews, and then finally secured a role. But it is preparation, I think, too, right? Is what goes into that, and it's preparation from not only determining that that's the right role for you before you apply, but then preparing your resume and having your resume be individually tailored to each job posting, right? It doesn't do you any good, I don't think, to just blanket mass apply with one resume to 50 other things. So just tailoring it every time to that specific job as a posting, and then following up. Let's say you do have interviews, you do get a first interview. I don't know how many people, but I would say it's not very many either follow up with an email thanking them for that interview, thanking them for their time, or following up with a video, kind of answering any questions you may have had, and then just showing that presence because they may interview 12 people that day and only get 2 people send them an email, and you may have been the first one, and you've totally fell off their radar, but now they see this email from you and you've come back to the top of the list. So just follow through, consistency, I think is really where it's important.
oh, that's great advice. And certainly sometimes their hiring cycles can be long. So I certainly can appreciate that fact that you're taking that effort and sending that messaging and having your name come back up to the surface, right, as a candidate. And it might be something as simple as that because of the nature of business and people are looking at several people, several candidates in addition to just their day-to-day activities and just doing that those simple things right that allow you to stay connected to a recruiter, a hiring manager, or whatever that might look like in terms of candidate cycles. So yeah, no, really good points, really great advice, and hopefully people can really appreciate the value in those little things that go a long way that will end up seeing results on. So Anthony, moving forward now, what's important to you? What's the future look like for you in terms of what you're focused in on or passionate about as you continue to navigate forward and in your next chapter as you head on to this new role or just professionally and personally as you move forward into what that next Team Anthony looks like.
Yeah, no, I think it's just continuing to grow, right? If we're not growing, w- if we're not growing, we're shrinking, right? So how do you continue to grow? And I mean, I spoke, I've had 2 speaking engagements in the last couple months, and that was really all thanks to you, Ken. I wouldn't even have thought that was a thing to
Right.
do. And I spoke at the Southwest Security Conference here for ASIS, and then another conference after that. So I think that's where Team Anthony is really trying to grow, right? Is hey, how do I continue to get my name out there? How do I continue to develop my personal brand? And then how do I transition to this new role and develop a personal brand within that? But also, what are you doing to sustain your career or better your life in the future, right? I mean, the week that I got my offer letter for my current job, I was just so down on myself. I was like, I'm never getting a job. I got to do something. So I went in a totally different direction and just I bought a new business,
Uh,
right? So now how are we going to do that, right? I own a
yeah.
business now, and I'm starting a job. So really, just trying to how to balance that work life balance. I think is what's going to be important for me in the next 1 to 5 years. Is just really trying to do that.
No, that's awesome. I think, I think before, and I get it in terms of, why the decision point was made for you, but I think that in sort of the larger picture, I think the advice generally is really important in that we've got to consider all different income streams, all different revenue sources, right? We need to think much broader about, what we do in terms of making a living. And so, considering that, that business that you thought of years ago, now, it's one of those things that, hey, now's the time to get started and get after it and, see where it goes because, these things that happen, some things, you have control over and others you don't, and
Right.
where you can recognize the difference and focus in on those things and get after it. And I've always said this, it's sort of like with bad news and good news, it sort of comes in clumps, right? All of a sudden, it's crickets, and then boom, you get three offers for, multiple jobs, or, you land a role, and now you've also landed a business here, and these things happen, as things sort of, come unexpectedly sometimes. And it's just that I think it's important that we need to reconsider, how we generate income today more than ever, and the different avenues. We talk about side hustles and gig economy, right? That's a huge thing, and I think it's real. I think we all need to consider that, even in our particular industry.
Yeah, and I think if you look at um, really the transition of generations, where we're at now, right? You're gonna have that baby boomer generations is like the biggest generation that we had, um, and they're getting older and not going. They're going to retire, and then so where is this going? Where are these businesses going? And even if you look in a security business or whatever kind of business, it's only going to go in one or two directions, right? It's going to go transition to an independent business or a small business, and then or it's going to transition to these big companies, right? And I'm not for big companies, right? Big, really personally, right? These bigger companies that just overwhelm the market. We could try to do it in these small businesses. I think that's way would be a better avenue for it. But someone's got to fill the gap. Someone's going to have to fill these voids. So why not us, right? Why not you? Why not me? Why not everyone listening here? Why not whatever you're passionate about, or you don't even have to be passionate about it. If you think it's a good business, go out and do it, right? Because there will be the need for it.
No, excellent point. Again, I think the data is there, right? That as the generation continues to age in terms of these business owners or these small businesses, and what's going to happen with them. And so now's the time, I think, that we sort of, where we're at in terms of our age group, in that we still have, several years left on the runway, as I call it, to be productive and to look at, remaining in the workforce. And so there's still a huge opportunity there for those of us who are going to be working as we get older, and the folks that are a little bit older than we are, that boomer generation above us, and as they, tend to looking at retirement and stopping what they're doing and selling their businesses. I think more and more we just have to be open to thinking more about, outside of just what we're doing in our careers, in terms of, whether it was, in the public sector, in government, or in law enforcement, or even in the private sector, where, some of us have had long careers in corporate security. You've got to keep an open mind as to what is in the marketplace, and what you can apply your skills in, and learn new skills, right? It's lifelong learning. So I think we can't be afraid of trying things that are completely foreign to what we've been doing, and seeing how we can transfer skills that we have into these new areas. But fear is the big thing, right? Overcoming,
Yeah.
that fear of failure is going to be a challenge for a lot of folks. Is there anything in particular that helped you in terms of making your decision, in going into, this business, as an example?
Yeah, I think it's the generation we live in now, right? If we looked at 10, 20, 30 years ago, to start a business, let's just go 30 years ago. If you wanted to start a business, how would you do it? I don't know, right? And you'd have to know someone who knew someone and go meet with them. And if you want to spend that lifelong learning part, if you want to spend 2 or 3 days on YouTube or the web internet, you can figure out how to develop a profitable business in 3 days, and then develop a whole checklist or a whole process to get it done. I think that's where we're at now. So just don't be afraid to war game it, as you would say, in your mind for a couple of days. Do the research, understand the benefits, and I mean, we have unlimited knowledge at our fingertips at this very moment. So use that and learn new skills and do that.
Oh man, yeah, I think there's never been right a better time to take that leap. And you're right, right? The information is at our fingertips. We just need to get after it and take action on it. So yeah, what a great this great information. Really enjoyed the conversation today with you, Anthony. Not only touching on your specific journey with what you've done and now this next chapter, but also touching on the business aspect of
Yeah.
opportunities and those sorts of things. And again, it's just one of those things where I think we've got to think much broader in terms of what we've considered in the past as leaders, in our realms, and whether we're aspiring to get into, into corporate security or that path, or even take, advantage of opportunities in the business space and open up again different revenue streams for us as we continue to move forward. A lot of folks are underemployed, right? And
Right.
so it's not just the unemployed folks that are looking for work, but there's individuals that are underemployed and have taken roles that were let's say not the same level as what they were in
Yeah.
previous jobs and their experience and background. So there's always, I think, things out there that are available to us. We just have to take the action to do them. So hopefully that'll resonate with folks to take the action, take that first step. Um, Again, it's one of those things that as we learn more and more about how we can leverage AI, you touched on it today. It's absolutely incredible, right? Learning more about how to leverage the tools that are available to us through AI. And again, I don't know that you can keep up with it. It's just a matter of focusing, right? It's just
Right.
focusing on one given space and try to learn as much as you can about that. And along those lines, I've created custom GPTs to try to leverage myself and put out there in the space. And again, this particular episode, I'll talk a little bit about it now. I'm my consulting firm, Carrasco Solutions Group. We do a number of different things, and there's avenues in which we pursue relative to people, process, and technology. We're focused in on the security space, but my background includes business, so it's one of those things where however we can provide value to organizations, we will. And I appreciate all of the things that I've learned in our dialogue over the past several months, and I look forward to continuing developing our relationship as we continue to go down our individual career paths. So Anthony, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And for all of those listening in, I will add the links, Anthony's LinkedIn profile link to the episode. Any other last minute suggestions or things that last thought that you want to end the session with?
No, Ken, I appreciate the time to do this. I mean, I guess if you could say one thing, it's always learning and continue growing your brand, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Wait, good luck on your new role. I'm excited to see
Yeah.
you progress and excel. So thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Ken.